Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Inside. Let's continue. So, we're going through all of these puzzles, and I guess our secondary goal is to, uh, I guess that's the first rat we've seen. We saw some chickens that looked like rats or field mice from a distance, but obviously with chickens. We're seeing a lot of different kinds of animals. Seems like what they're doing here is um, spending a lot of time animating different kinds of animals. I don't know if it's really worth it. We've seen chickens, rats, humanoid type zombie people. Seems like we're mostly focused on the humanoid type zombie people. Interesting. So why did we need to turn that on? Seems like there's a dead corpse here to tell us that this is some kind of turret machines. That would be my guess. Then we can see this like spiral pattern that is either a wire or it's bullet holes. Okay. Almost wish that Playdead had um, had built a like dropper game or a simple mobile game or just anything in between Limbo and this. Um, so that Inside was just not so much a game that felt exactly like Limbo. If they were to even make a sequel to Limbo that played completely different and was more of a, heck, even if it was like a visual novel telling the experiences of the friends and family of the kid in the first game, that would make sense. Or, even if they had made a simplistic asset flip horror game, 3D horror game, there might have been something to that idea. This bird is pecking away at some kind of worm or parasite. We've seen these before. Or I think that was a worm or parasite. I don't know if it really was. It definitely feels like we go from building to building. It, oops. So the camera is on us, and now we're just having to stay lock and step. And we don't really have to be that in lockstep. And thank goodness for that, because it would really suck if we had to be in full step. This definitely feels like this is influenced by that Pink Floyd The Walls um, um, We Don't Need No Education music video. Alright, so everybody in the box has to leave. Oops. And I got tased. And then it just resets you. It seems like it won't even do anything for a while. I hit the wrong button. You can see people in the background looking, and they're not noticing that I'm slightly out of step. So how stupid are these people? This kid clearly knows something about the society. And I'm noticing that in the background there is like a kid also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hmm. See, and I would say in the first Limbo game, you didn't have these kinds of cheap deaths that repeated. There was a lot more polish to it. 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Why it's only observing me, I don't know. But it's blinking. Come on, just be done with this. Having the 2 tests back to back instead of having it connected is a bit of a problem. Notice that everybody else in this area is wearing all black. And the way their heads droop down definitely doesn't imply that they're actually looking while they're walking. And here we go. The dog sniffed us out. So we had to run and jump, so we're done with that. See, those people didn't realize I was still running. Those people that were on all black eventually get turned into, I guess, these people in the white shirt overalls that can be controlled. And I guess you would call those maybe mannequins. That might be one term for them. I guess the question is it worth it to jump to your death just to see what's down there? Well, I tried the best way I could. And they put this box here specifically, I think, so that you can know that it's somewhat safe to land. But they also put the box there as part more of the puzzle. Right. So we needed to have stopped here. Yeah, I'm not sure if actually pressing the X button is what's releasing me from the brain device, or just pressing downward is releasing me from the brain device. We'll check. Like, X grabs. So it is pressing down that is probably releasing me. It's crazy that his brain, his head just holds on to him. through that. Like, that doesn't really make the most sense. Right. So press down, hold down a little bit. It doesn't do anything. Pressing X and down does do something. What's funny is there is kind of a spiral staircase in the background there. Right. So it does look like you could just walk into the background and spiral staircase down. But not so much. I also see there is another brain control, so interesting. So there we had a human in a box, just ready to go. But whatever action you take duplicates. So it's an interesting programming question, certainly, as to how many recursive characters can you have in control at the same time, or how many characters can you have on the same screen. Really, this is one of those games that makes it feel like perhaps an abilities would make some sense. If at the beginning of the game we saw several different people being controlled. Like, there's not a door here, though. So, and we can't go back any further that way. So it has something to do with this. But I am not sure what. Okay. I didn't see the switch. Now that I do see the switch, I now understand what I was trying to do. It's always better for puzzles to actually show you what the goal is first and foremost. I have no idea if that is a trampoline where I can jump safely, or if that's something different. We can see that there are some people definitely running away. The safest move would be to be about right here, because that would give me as much time as possible to fall down and fall into the water. We have a bit of a reoccurring theme here. So we freed a platform. I don't know if those kinds of platforms would really float. These wooden forklift 8s, platforms, platoons. whatever you'd call them. This definitely comes off like a game that designed its levels in a vacuum, and then they're just getting all merged together after the fact. Definitely seems like there's too much garbage in what looks like a sewer. The fact that we keep jumping from building to kind of sewer tunnel area to open area, back and forth. It would have felt more consistent if we had started in a forest um, and then eventually transitioned to kind of more of a farm area, then transitioned to a more city area. And they sort of did that, but then a lot of these puzzle sections could have easily been in the forest or the farm area also. But I would also argue that the thing we really would have liked to see here is for you to start off with more abilities and then lose those abilities and then have to regain them if you're going to go for that more Metroidvania style of gameplay. Um, or start off with at least one new thing that looks interesting and different, because that first 30 minutes of Inside felt way too much like Limbo. This feels a little bit different, but not by much. So I pressed the button, and that has drained a tank. And so it kind of feels like we are in some kind of aquarium or water treatment plant. Although, why would there be a button in the middle of a water treatment plant to raise the water? Okay. Okay, that lets us go back that way to drain the water. But we probably want to go through that door. We probably want to get a platform. Was there a floating platform? And you can perhaps just rush this way and that gets you high enough. But I suspect that's only half of the puzzle. That'd be weird if that was the end of the puzzle. This game does feel weird because it definitely feels like at any point we also are going to just run into an ending. Since the story is 100% visual, uh, at any point we could find somebody that turns out to be the big boss and defeat them, or we could die permanently and they could beat them. Both possibilities feel very believable. Yeah. I kind of wonder if maybe there's just an achievement for coming back down this way. Because we're not like going back this way. Otherwise. Like, why would there be a reason to need to have a door to get back into that section when you could have just as easily trapped the player into this next area? I guess maybe because of the timing. So yeah, we may just be done with this puzzle. These puzzles have been fairly simplistic. So just do that for fun. Just to confirm that there's not some thing. In the background we can see a bunch of buses, and it looks like maybe some more zombie people, mannequin people, puppet people, marionettes. That's what they should be called. They should be called marionette puppets, because they hang down like their strings are not attached. Right. I'm hoping this is the right place. And then I'm hoping far too many places to fall over to the edge. This really is one of those games where you'd be better off not being able to jump and the character just stopping you from jumping. Right. We'll try and move as fast as possible. Nope, you're gonna get tasered and strung up. You've got to do just like a spin and then walk back, and then another spin and then walk back. This is not too different from fighting the pig, where it's going to just be more complicated than it should be. One spin, that's as much as I think we can do. So it's about 1.5 spins. Come on. I mean, this is tough to judge because the shadow is moving. Like, there's definitely a way in which you would have done this to be a lot more generous for the player, so that the shadow would stay stationary and that you would see maybe a rock on both edges to know the exact perfect places to stand before the shadow appears. It is ridiculous to have to do this multiple times. And on top of that, you do all this work, and there is a danger that you need this actually to be much lower, because you may want to jump on top and over. You probably want to jump on top and over, not inside. Right, that seems to be about as high as it goes. Interesting. Come on, come on, come on. Shadow is bad. Come on, come on, come on. Stay in the shadow. You can see all these train imagery in the background, which definitely this feels like this is people getting marched off to Auschwitz or some other concentration camp. I don't know if we have to care about the lighting so much as we just have to care about not falling to our death. I don't think I can get up. So I think I'm supposed to be going down. It's not particularly smart to have a game that teaches you to be afraid of lights. This game is already too dark, and for it to, on top of that, say, stay in the dark, don't get in the light, otherwise you die, really leads towards a pretty bad visual experience. This looks like this is a train that's been derailed. So it kind of feels like there's train railways and subways on top of each other, as if the city has just been built on top of it, on top of different levels of other cities, more ancient cities. Maybe ancient's the wrong term there. This might also indicate that there is some kind of like alien extra-dimensional entity invasion, and all that is left of humanity are the marionette puppets being controlled by some other species. In the background there, I definitely see something that looks like either dogs or some other monster. It's probably a little too late in the game to introduce new monsters, but you can definitely see our character is concerned about it and looking at them. Okay. Every time we're in one of these water sequences, I have to question whether there's something at the bottom of the water, and a lot of times it seems like there is. There was this game based on the, I believe, War of the Worlds story. You can definitely see these dogs are more than willing to kill you. And there's probably is slightly informative that they're capable of killing you, too, that you are a weak child. Yeah. And the entire narrative of War of the Worlds was kind of that, wow, I'm really gonna have to run here. The character is just constantly fleeing danger, and I don't think he really has any way of fighting back in the video game. So that was kind of an interesting use for it's an interesting use for platforming, and an interesting use for telling a story, to not really have a hero protagonist, but just a survivor protagonist. Right. Well. See what this dog decides to do. Maybe the dog can't swim as fast, or can't get out of the water as fast. So, like the pig, we may have bought ourselves some extra time. Yep. But I don't know how much extra time. Really? Alright, come on, come on, come on. I feel like they probably took the wrong message from Limbo. If there really was anybody who said they wanted to see even more grotesque, grotesque deaths, around around the main character. I don't think that was the main audience of fans of Limbo. Like, this seems to just be gory and brutal for no reason. Okay, the puzzle here is to get one pulled off. That's crazy, you have to do this 3 times. And come over here. And then get all 3 up here. And then we just gotta wait until all 3 of them are here. And then pull another one off. And it doesn't make the most of sense. You have pieces of wood. You could try to beat these dogs off, although 3 dogs, I wouldn't like those odds. It's ridiculous that you're having to do this multiple times. And this doesn't come off as particularly good gameplay, or fun gameplay at least. Yeah. And it seems like when you are in a point where there is a light above you, that is probably your checkpoints, if you're getting any checkpoints. We do seem to be getting some kind of instantaneous checkpoints here. Noticeably, this game also not putting any kind of spinning dial icon when you're saving or anything like that. That is something certainly of a previous generation. I definitely wish Xboxes, Nintendo Switches, PlayStations all came together and said, hey, let's get rid of some of the requirements of like, we're saving right now, don't turn off your computer, because it's highly unlikely that anyone is going to like step up and hard power off an Xbox or a PlayStation or a Nintendo Switch, or pull the plug from the wall to power it off while you're saving. And even in that case, there's no reason to even for that to be still an issue. Like, there is a system, in at least a file system called ZFS, which I doubt Microsoft would ever use ZFS for save files, but they could certainly take the same concept of copying on write. Whenever a file system has copy on write as a feature, it makes a new file every time you write write to the file, and keeps the old file as an older version, a previous version. So in the worst case scenario on copy on write, if you pulled the power out of the outlet and hard powered off a console, you would just go back to the previous save file, because only that new save file that you would have been writing would have been corrupted. Whereas old computers, if you pulled the plug out and it didn't have copy on write, it would corrupt all the save files that ever existed, and because they're just writing over each other at the same time every time there's a new save. But also, there are just a lot more built-in redundancy, so that really wouldn't ever happen, or would very rarely happen. So needing to interrupt the art presentation to say, don't power off when we show you this icon, and by the way, we're going to show you this icon every time we make a checkpoint, that's kind of unnecessary. We still need menus, obviously, and Inside's menu is still pretty bad, but I don't know if we need as many menus as it is presented. If there was a more consistent standard as far as resolution, video graphic settings, audio settings, if that was all in a system-wide menu instead of individual app menus, most people would be more than happy to set those settings once and then forget about them. And Nintendo Switch games, for instance, barely ever really want to be shut down. And you have to kind of go back to the main Nintendo menu to shut down an app. Otherwise, they are just getting suspended. Same is true for Microsoft games, is that they try to have that quick resume and suspension feature happen much closer to the way the cell phone Android operating systems work compared to a Windows program that hard exits and saves when it exits. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm saying a lot to say very little to applaud Inside for not having a single spinning icon when it saves a checkpoint, assuming it actually is saving. But that's about as much as I could say positive about Inside so far. It's just really boring puzzles and a visual presentation that's okay but not great. Um, I half wonder if Inside at some point expands into something like Insidious, but I don't even know how that would really work. Or, like, if we got to a halfway point of this game and Inside's logo changed to Insidious and it turned out that the character we're playing as is really, really evil, that might be something, but it would be a weird twist, certainly, too. Like, if we started solving puzzles that involved trying to kill other people just because we're evil, that would be weird. If we turned into like Jigsaw, for instance, from the Saw movies, that would be weird. Although Inside is, with its red fonts, not too far away from the Saw logo font. Anyways, we're going late in this episode. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.